Have you ever felt like you're doing all the things, eating less, trying to be quote unquote good, tracking where every calorie comes from, religiously writing down everything you ate for the day, and starting over every Monday, and your weight still feels out of your control? What if the answer isn't eating less, but eating more and in a way that actually works with your body? Today, we are talking about how to eat your way to weight loss by focusing on adding in nutrient-dense, real foods that naturally support GLP-1, which is the hormone that helps with appetite control, blood sugar balance, and feeling satisfied after meals. This is not about restriction, extremes, or cutting out entire food groups. This is about building balanced meals with real food that help you feel full, energized, happy, and in control again. So if you're ready to stop fighting your body, to take charge of your food, and to regain control of your weight in a sustainable way, then just keep watching. If you are new to my channel, my name is Marissa. I am a pharmacist health coach, and I get asked about GLP-1 medications for weight loss all the time. My observations have been that the majority of people who take them or who are considering taking them don't fully understand how the drugs are working or that you can naturally support your GLP-1 levels through the foods that you eat. GLP-1 isn't just a medication, it is a hormone that your body already makes, and it helps regulate appetite, fullness, and blood sugar. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how you can naturally support your GLP-1 levels by eating more real foods. So we are going to be focusing on 5 types of foods that increase and support GLP-1. But before we do, let's take a deeper dive into what GLP-1 is. It is a hormone that is produced and secreted by intestinal cells that are located in your small and large intestines, as well as by certain nerve cells in your brain stem upon eating food. After you eat, it gets released and it increases insulin, which tells your cells to take in more glucose from the blood, thereby lowering blood sugar levels. It inhibits glucagon secretion, which is a hormone that would raise blood sugar levels, and it slows down how quickly food leaves your stomach and enters the small intestine, which helps you feel full longer and increases satiety. So now let's start talking about the food types. The first group of foods are healthy fats, specifically monounsaturated fats and omega-3 fatty acids. Examples of monounsaturated fats include extra virgin olive oil, avocados, eggs, specifically the egg yolk, nuts like macadamia, almonds, pistachios, cashews, hazelnuts, pecans, and peanuts, and seeds like sesame and sunflower. And while grass-fed butter mostly contains saturated fat, about 20 to 25% of the fat in butter is monounsaturated. Examples of omega-3 fatty acids include fatty fish like salmon, sardines, mackerel, trout, and tuna, nuts and seeds like ground flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts, leafy greens like spinach and kale, cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts and broccoli, and fruits like avocados, kiwi, papayas, and berries. And while not as high as these other foods, you can also find these fats in pasture-raised eggs and meats and dairy products from grass-fed animals. The second group of foods, and these are in no particular order by the way, are proteins. Proteins, specifically the amino acids arginine, leucine, and glutamine. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. So some protein-rich foods include whey protein, dairy, eggs, chicken, turkey, fatty fish like salmon, and then you have plant-based protein, including soy products like tofu and tempeh, as well as lentils and hemp. Now, protein is also very important for preserving lean muscle mass during weight loss, which is important for all, but especially for those who have decided to take a GLP-1 medication, as those drugs do cause lean muscle loss. Out of the weight loss from taking a GLP-1 medication, approximately 60% is from fat mass and approximately 30% is from lean muscle mass. Maintaining muscle mass is very important because it is metabolically active tissue, which is going to impact your metabolism and how many calories that you are able to burn even when you are at rest, meaning not moving or exercising. It's also important as it is not easy or quick to increase, as that requires regular strength training and high intensity interval training, essentially HIIT workouts. The third group of foods are fermentable and soluble fibers. Now, we lack the ability to digest these compounds, and so they continue to move down our intestines and act as a food source for our gut bacteria. After these bacteria digest these fibers, they produce what's called short chain fatty acids, for example, acetic, propionic, and butyrate acids. And these fatty acids stimulate GLP-1 production and secretion. Examples of these foods include oats, barley, 100% whole grain products like whole wheat and freshly milled flour, lentils, beans, split peas, apples, pears, berries, flax seeds, chia seeds, Brussels sprouts, and onions and garlic. If you are not used to eating high soluble fiber foods, then make sure that you drink plenty of water throughout the day and gradually increase your consumption of these foods over time to minimize gas and bloating and to give your digestive system some time to adjust. The fourth group of foods are fermented foods. Now, fermented foods aren't directly stimulating the production and secretion of GLP-1. However, they provide beneficial bacteria that help populate a healthy gut microbiome, which then feeds on the fibers and produces those short chain fatty acids like we just talked about. So examples of these foods include sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, yogurt, and tempeh. And the fifth group of foods are polyphenol-rich foods. These foods stimulate intestinal cells to secrete GLP-1, and interestingly, they can inhibit the enzyme that's responsible for the inactivation of GLP-1. This enzyme is called DPP4, and what this inactivation does is it prolongs the activity of GLP-1, meaning that it is going to hang around longer and be able to exert its function longer. Examples of these foods include berries like blueberries, raspberries, and cranberries, cocoa and dark chocolate, green tea, extra virgin olive oil, coffee, and nuts, as well as herbs and spices like turmeric and cinnamon. As I am walking you through this video and going through these different food types, you are seeing me cooking real meals, simple snacks, and everyday foods, and eating and enjoying them. Eating this way, eating real foods is normal. This is how generations existed for so many years. Our ancestors ate real foods. It was only in the last little bit of our history where ultra-processed foods became so inundated in our society and they became quote-unquote normal, but they're not normal. They're like a science experiment in our body. And so what we really need is to return back to real food. Real food is the way we should be eating. It is normal. It tastes delicious. It is not boring. It is meant to be enjoyed. It can be enjoyed by many. And eating should feel satisfying and it should not feel stressful. There is a balance between eating for nourishment and eating for enjoyment, and you don't have to choose one or the other. And it really just breaks my heart when I see or hear people who are trying to lose weight and they have put themselves on a very restrictive diet and they just look really miserable. They can't wait for the diet to be over. It's all they think about, and they're perpetually hungry, or they just don't feel good, or they develop like they become malnourished, like they become deficient in certain vitamins and minerals, and their hormones become out of balance. Like the body is telling you when all that happens that it's not what it needs, and what it needs is balance. It needs nourishment. It needs enjoyment. It needs real foods. And when you are eating nutrient-dense foods consistently, you're going to find that you are enjoying your meals, you're tuning into your hunger and fullness cues, and the food noise in your head stops feeling so loud. And the pattern that I see over and over again with other people, as well as with myself, because I have gone through this myself too, when you focus on giving your body what it needs to function and thrive, and you focus in on that instead of constantly trying to control it or restrict what you're eating or constantly weighing yourself on the scale or always trying to see like how much weight you lost each day, when you focus in on the nourishment and the enjoyment and being intentional with choosing and cooking real foods, weight loss often happens naturally as a byproduct because your focus isn't 100% on that. Your focus is on how am I feeling? Do I have more energy? Am I less bloated? Do I feel better? My digestion's better. My thinking's better. I have less brain fog. Focus in on that. You're more likely to see the benefits of eating real foods like there first, more than or quicker than you're going to see the number on the scale go down. Focus in on those other benefits, and then weight loss can kind of happen as like a byproduct, which is great. And it does take time. There is an intentionality to it. You can't just snap your fingers and think it's all going to happen overnight. But be intentional with your food choices, what you're buying at the grocery store, what you're cooking at home, how often you're going out to eat, what you're getting when you do go out to eat. And you're going to find that this all becomes a lot just easier. There's more of a flow that happens with it. And you stop fighting everything and you kind of just like, you're rolling with it. And before I wrap up, I also want to quickly reset expectations around weight loss. A size 0 or a size 2 on a pair of jeans is not the goal, and it's not meant for everyone. Bodies are built differently, and health does not come in one specific size. Just because someone looks thin, that does not automatically mean that they are healthy. And on the flip side, someone can be wearing a higher size on a pair of jeans and be making incredibly supportive, health-promoting choices. And yes, carrying excess visceral fat is associated with a higher risk of chronic disease. But being thin does not make someone immune to blood sugar issues, hormone imbalances, inflammation, or other chronic health problems. The goal here isn't shrinking your body as much as possible. It's supporting your body so that it functions well, you feel strong, and your body is metabolically healthy. And when you focus on health first, your body will often settle into a weight that's right for you. Now, I know that this was a lot of information, but my hope is that what you're walking away with is this. Your body is not broken, and weight loss doesn't have to come from restriction or fighting yourself. When you understand how your body works and you nourish it with the right foods, you can support things like appetite, blood sugar, and metabolism naturally and sustainably. If this kind of real food, science-backed, no diet education is helpful for you, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. This is exactly what I share here. Simple, practical ways to eat and live in a way that supports your health long term. And if this video helped you, give it a big thumbs up and share it with someone who feels stuck in the cycle of dieting and starting over. And let me know in the comments, which of these food groups do you already eat regularly and which one are you going to focus on adding in first? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.